Welcome to Moment of Truth with Amy Chen Mills. That's me, where we present clear thinking on confusing topics in challenging times. We have a very special guest today, Omar Dieguez, and his friend Ana Barrera from Salinas. Omar has begun a 30-day hunger strike today to protest the use of pesticides in the fields adjacent to and near Watsonville area schools, including elementary schools. Omar is the recent refounder of the revitalized Brown Berets in Watsonville. And Omar is also host of the show From the Streets right here at KSQD K-Squid, which normally runs during our Talk of the Bay slot on Mondays at 5 p.m. Omar is also the Elevate Youth Coordinator for Barrios Unidos. And Omar is in the studio with us with Ana Barrera, coming after many weeks of preparation and an event at Barrios Unidos highlighting the harm that pesticides cause to both farm workers and teachers, staff, and students at the schools in Watsonville. Ana Barrera is a teacher in Salinas who has also had experience with these pesticides in and around her schools and what the impact has been on her students and on the staff. We are going to go to a quick break, but before we do, I want to just make this announcement. Along with Omar Dieguez, there is another woman who's just decided that she also is going to embark on a 30-day hunger strike to stop the use of pesticides in and around Watsonville. And maybe this goal is more expanded in scope. We'll find out soon. We've got folks waiting in the studio to come in into the broadcast room, and we're going to be talking to them quite soon. So Providencia Alaniz is going to be calling in a little while about her decision to join Omar in the 30-day strike. This is exclusive to KSQD and Moment of Truth. So you heard it here, folks, and we're going to a break, and we'll be right back with you. Welcome back to Moment of Truth with Amy Chen Mills, and we are here in studio with Omar Dieguez and also Ana Barrera, both of whom have spoken and are very passionate about the topic of the use of pesticides in and around Watsonville area schools, but I'm sure this goes like much bigger than that. And Omar has just started today a 30-day hunger strike to protest the fact that Driscoll's Berries is not ceasing spraying pesticides. And this campaign that Cora has been on, which is the organization that's been working on it the most with the Center for Farm Worker Families and Dr. Ann Lopez, who's the director, this has been going on for, like, as far as I know, like a couple years now. And how simple is it to just say, hey, we got to stop the spraying there, right? So, Omar, tell me about how you learned about this. Maybe you always knew it because it's obviously an old issue, and what really prompted you to start this strike, which actually you started today. I think you just did a sweat lodge and came to the studio.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank you for having us on the radio. And I also want to thank the creator for allowing us to be here to educate our students, educate our community, and to bring awareness of this problem that's been going on for such a long time. It's not something new. This is something that's been, the community has known for years. You know, even before Cesar Chavez, we've been fighting for, stop the use of pesticides because it's been killing and harming our community. It's been killing and harming our young people. But yeah, thank you for having us on the radio.
Ana Barrera is a teacher in Salinas, and I mentioned you before in the show. And what have you seen about pesticides? So you're seeing it obviously in Salinas too, because that's a big agricultural area.
Yes, right across the street from the high school that I work at. It's been for the last month back-to-back emails about different pesticides being sprayed right across the street on Saturday morning, sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning, the day before school is about to start. And so for me, it's something that's urgent. And I do appreciate being here in Santa Cruz because Santa Cruz County, if you look at the state of California, you have the most organic farms in California, just in this county. And, for me, it's like out of all the communities, Watsonville, predominantly Mexican-American community members having to have their schools right adjacent to fields that are not organic, that are filled with pesticides. Families are getting alerts. Like, why can't we do the most decent most humane thing for our Mexican American community members in the county of Santa Cruz by having organic fields right across the schools in Watsonville. So, I'm driving out of Salinas because to me, Santa Cruz has to be the example for the rest of the state of California. And if we can help, our community member here, Omar Dieguez, achieve this milestone for our community members in Watsonville by getting our schools protected. As a public school teacher, these are innocent children that come into these campuses. And if you were to look at all the IEPs, all the 504s, all the medical conditions, that our students are having to deal with because of these sprays that, are cancer-causing chemicals that mess up. There was a study on the chamacos with UC Berkeley and Salinas where they came up and followed these women since they were in vitro, the babies. All the way till, some of them were coming through at my high school and they were getting all this information about learning disabilities, about ailments that were happening to the children. It's important for us to say basta, to put an end to this type of treatment on our communities because our families do not deserve to be sprayed by chemicals that can cause cancer or cause other kinds of health issues.
And you spoke at the event at Barrios Unidos about a week ago on Sunday, right? Were you the one who had a daughter who got ill?
No, that's probably who's
she's about to speak. Yes. Okay, gotcha.
My abuelito was a bracero, and he lived to be 100. But the last 20 years of his life as a bracero, they were sprayed with DDT. And, so was my father. And, if you look at, from World War II all the way to 60s, the braceros came across and they were being sprayed with DDT.
Yeah.
It's like
And that wasn't even just working in the fields. That was like, when you get here, we're going to spray you with DDT because we think you're dirty and you've got pests or whatever. I mean, I just interviewed someone about this, actually, this idea of how they're painting immigrants and migrants as being like, like filthy, And
it's like a biological warfare happening on the Mexicano, whether they're at the workplace or they're coming in across in the 40s or in the 1910s, with Zyklon B being used in El Paso for the immigrants coming across, It's time for this country to realize that they cannot be doing this to a group of people. And so we're calling out Driscoll's to go organic in Watsonville because it's the right thing to do in these times that we're living in right now.
Yeah. And go ahead, Omar.
Some of the things that really alarms me is I'm an educator just like Ana. I work in these schools and it breaks my heart to see how many students are suffering from learning disabilities, from cancer. I mean, if you look at the Jacob's Heart has a map, and they have where they put these pins up to represent every child that they're dealing with. If you look at that map is the big old ball of Watsonville and Pajaro Valley and Monterey County with hundreds of kids suffering from cancer. But you look at the rest of the state, there's hardly any kids around the state suffering from cancer. And some of these cancers are caused by the pesticides. And not only that, but what breaks my heart too is that the most hardworking people in this world, in my opinion, are the field workers, the people that pick those crops in the sun, that are busting their butt and working in some crazy weather, hot weather, early in the morning, all day long. They're suffering from it. I see it from all the community organizations that I work with. I see it with all these other school organizations, all these community members. Since I've been doing this prep for this hunger strike, you don't know how many people, the number one thing I hear, thank you for doing this. My mom died from pesticides. My dad died from pesticides. My grandfather, my uncle. I hear it all the time, and I hear it only in my community. I don't hear it when I go to other communities to talk about this. It's inhumane. It's wrong. We need to change this, and we need to do this. And I think there's a big momentum right now, and we have a good chance to making a change.
Yeah, and to speak up for people. I mean, this is a great Labor Day show, I think, because when you think about labor and the people who are most exploited right now, right? Like people who are on the run from ICE right now, who have to be scared to go to work, but then these companies want them to be there working, right? And then also they have to be worried about the pesticides that they're working with in those. So it's not just the schools and the teachers and the students, it's those workers in the fields. And we do have a clip of a woman who was speaking at the event, and I didn't know if she wanted her name to be used. I don't have her name because I didn't get it there, but if you want to, maybe we shouldn't even say it. But anyway, I think she was a field worker, and she was pregnant. And actually, the translation in English at the event, Enough is Enough, it was called at Barrios Unidos, was translated, but the woman who was translating couldn't bring herself to actually translate into English. So we have the clip with the translation. So we're going to play that right now. Here we go.
When they told me I had cancer, I didn't believe it. Because in my hometown in Oaxaca, people hardly ever get that illness. But now, many of our country people who work here in strawberries, many people are getting sick with cancer or with other diseases. Because pregnant women also work in strawberries. And when their babies are born, the babies are born sick. And that's why so many people are getting sick now, those who work in strawberries.
So, it was amazing that the translator couldn't translate. And I had a thought as you guys were speaking about Santa Cruz, how up here in Santa Cruz City area, where it's more white people, imagine if they were spraying pesticides next to these schools.
That lady speaks about, the harm that it happened to her child. But she also spoke about how she had her stomach removed from the harms of pesticides.
We have that too. Oh, her whole stomach was removed?
Yes.
Oh. Let's just play that clip. We have one more clip and then we can talk about it.
I stopped working at 7 months pregnant. And then in December 2022, I vomited blood and we went to the emergency room. They told me I had a stomach ulcer, but then in April 2023, my son was born. And they did another biopsy, and that's when they told me I had stomach cancer. That is why I'm here to give my testimony and to ask that they try to eliminate pesticides in the fields because they are very harmful.
So this was a woman who worked in the fields. Her husband was there. I think he also worked in the fields, and their young son was there. And anyway, this was at Enough is Enough at Barrios Unidos, which was an event to support the campaign for organic and regenerative agriculture and safe schools, fighting pesticides in the fields and near the schools, especially in Watsonville. Anna, you look like you'd like to say something.
Yeah, in the 1980s, I saw the movie that Cesar Chavez had created for, it was called The Wrath of Grapes. And that impacted my life. I'm now teaching here in the Salinas Valley. And for me, in 92, when I met him and we were organizing on the issue of a lettuce boycott at the time, because he was challenging the Salinas Valley, the lettuce growers, prior to his death. But we were organizing with the Cal State LA Mechas how we were going to run that boycott, and it was going to target the lettuce industry, and it took a couple of us all the way to the United Nations Earth Summit to go talk about these issues of pesticides. Myself, my comadre Marta, and Elizabeth Bebita Martinez, who wrote 500 Years of Chicano History, we addressed those issues at a group of people from the third world that were meeting there to talk about what was happening to the Mexicano with the use of pesticides. But that movie, The Wrath of Grapes, it really impacted my life, and to see the different birth defects, to see the cancer, to see that since the 80s, and you're still seeing all these cases. If you go up to Stanford, the doctors will tell you most of those children are coming from the Salinas Valley. And, it's important for us to visualize a better world. And Watsonville is going to be our place where we're going to see that organic fields around our schools are possible. And from there, take it on for the rest of the state.
Driscoll's has a testing facility where they test the pesticides right across from Bradley School. And it's all gated up. You can't get in there unless you have a pass to the lock,
Wow.
It's directly across the street from Bradley School. My kids went to Bradley School.
Is that an elementary?
It's an elementary school. It's in Corralitos.
Wow. In Corralitos, okay.
And, the one thing that when I heard Dolores Huerta speak at an event for Cora just recently, a couple months ago, one thing that she said was, the pesticides are banned everywhere else in the world. But yet in the United States, they still use them. That got to me, and the same pesticides.
Well, is it all pesticides are banned, or just like the most dangerous?
I think the most dangerous, but I think that the other thing that she mentioned was she spoke about some of those same pesticides they use in these fields are the same chemicals they use in the war.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? Being an educator, why is this being allowed near our schools? Why is this being allowed in our community?
Capitalism.
Yeah, right now, Tilon 1,3-D is being used all across Salinas Valley. Anywhere you see the strawberries, that's the one you see most often being used.
Say it again slowly for everybody.
Tilon 1,3-D.
Okay, and that's a problematic one.
Yes, it's like a Molotov cocktail being thrown, and it's 10 times more potent in terms of what happens to us if we're in the middle of drift. And, if we're across the street, like my high school on Baranda, the wind in the Salinas Valley, you see it blow all the way down into Soledad, King City. As you go further down, there's different ailments that happen going down with the intestines. Like I remember my friends would be taking their children from Soledad and King City all the way to Stanford. And, they had a lot of intestinal problems. And, it's just very tragic. I've had 2 groups of avid students that have gone out, go to the universities within the first 6 months. They have to come back to Salinas because they have to be put on dialysis. I'm like, they're barely 19.
Oh my gosh.
And organ failures.
Oh my gosh.
So, the ailments that are happening to the children, it's not just cancer. There's other medical issues that are happening with our kids.
Omar, did you want to add to that?
Respiratory, ADHD, birth defects. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. You are listening to KSQD in Santa Cruz, in Prunedale, and across the Monterey Bay and down into the Central Coast, 89.5, 89.7, and 90.7 FM. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back to Moment of Truth with Amy Chen Mills. We are in studio with Omar Dieguez and Ana Barrera, a teacher in Salinas. And Omar is one of the founders of the revitalized Brown Berets in Watsonville, also Elevate Youth Coordinator for Barrios Unidos, also a host here at KSQD. And Omar has just started a 30-day hunger strike to protest the spraying of pesticides around the schools in Watsonville. And that's just a start. We hope, we hope for the rest of the state. And so we're going to and then we have someone else who's joined you, and we're going to have her call in a minute. But before we do that, I just wanted to focus on your state of mind. I know you did a lot of preparation. 30 days is a long time to go without food. So tell us about what you've been doing and how you've been feeling, Omar.
So this is something that I committed to myself 6 months ago, and when I made that commitment that I was going to move forward to it. First, I cut out all meats. I switched over to fruits and healthy greens. I started talking to some of my elders. I started doing a lot of research, talking to people that have done hunger strikes before, and I started fasting here and there. I would do 1 day, then I'd do 2 days, and I got up to 7 days, and I'd take a break. And so now I'm here today, starting the 30-day fast. I feel good. I just came from a sweat lodge yesterday. I went to another sweat lodge. So spirituality, this is going to be a spiritual walk for me, and a mental battle. But I'll tell you one thing is I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for the love of my community and the support of my community. And there's been a lot of women in my life that have supported me and in this journey. So I want to give thanks to the Creator for those women, those strong women that have been a part of my journey to help me get to continue to do the work I do. And you're gonna bring on Provi. Provi's another strong woman, and she has a strong story to tell.
Yeah, and actually we have a clip from Providencia at the event at Barrios Unidos, and we're going to play that right now. And then Providencia, if you're out there, we want you to call in after this, and we will talk with you right after we play this clip.
Hi, my name is Providencia, and I have a daughter. Well, I have two daughters, but one of my daughter was at school, after school program one day, and she was exposed to the pesticides. They were spraying them across the street, like around 5:30 p.m. And my daughter, I ended up taking her to the emergency room. She was throwing up. She couldn't sleep anymore. After that, my life changed because now she has sleep apnea, and my daughter doesn't breathe at night, so it's really hard to watch my daughter not be able to breathe, because she can stop breathing at any time, and there's nothing I can do. And she gained a lot of weight. She's super, super overweight, and she's a tough girl. But that's when I called Adam, and I said, Adam, we need to do something about this. You need to call the people that you know, because I know he's an environmentalist, and he was involved with other people that knew what we needed to do something. So Adam got to it. He connected with Woody and with Kathleen, and then from there, and then we just started connecting with everybody else, and here we are today. I didn't know Omar, I just met him recently, but we've been in the same places at the same time, but we've never met before. But it's really good. I'm glad to be here today, and I'm glad all of you guys are here supporting this cause, because it's very important for our children. I never thought my kids would be affected by it. Never in a million years did I think my daughter was going to be suffering from this. She was born healthy, everything was fine, and she was at school, after school, and all of a sudden my life changed. Every single night, I don't sleep much. Like you can tell, my bag's under my eyes. I take care of her because I'm scared. So not being able to sleep at night is gonna cause me to be in a very bad mood every day, but I try to stay positive every day. Like I was telling the lady here, I try to be positive as I can, and just look at everything in the best way possible. So thank you everybody for being here today.
That was Providencia Alaniz, and we have her on the line. Before we bring her on, I just want to mention that when she says Cora, that's the Campaign for Organic and Regenerative Agriculture. And Adam is Adam Bolaños-Scow, who used to be a Pajaro Valley School Board trustee. Full disclosure, he was my campaign manager when I ran for county supervisor. I have to say that. And then also Dr. Ann Lopez was there, and Woody and Catherine are both involved with Cora. And if you want to know more about Cora, please go to farmworkerfamily.org, farmworkerfamily.org, and you can find the maps where you can see the schools that are spraying pesticides around the Watsonville, the fields that are spraying pesticides around the Watsonville schools, and there's a lot of good information there. And anyway, let's get Providence on. Providence, are you on?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, where do you live?
I live in Watsonville.
Okay.
On the east side of Watsonville.
Right. And so your daughter had this, this terrible reaction to pesticides, it sounds like. And so tell me when you decided, because I saw you at the event at Barrios Unidos, but when did you decide to also go on a hunger strike?
Well, it's been a couple of months since I had mentioned it to the group, to Cora, to all my friends there. And I said, why don't we do a hunger strike? And everybody's like, that's really hard. Oh, I don't know, So everybody was just kind of like, So I'm like, well, it would be good. And so Adam said, well, we could talk about that later. And that's it. We didn't talk about it anymore. And a couple of months later, here comes Omar. And he's like, I'm going to do a hunger strike. And I'm like, yes. I feel him. Like, I knew that's something that, needed to be done. So I was like, I'm going to do it too. But I just mentioned it to one of the ladies there when, I kind of whispered it to her. I'm like, I'm going to do it too. And she's like, oh, you are? And I go, yeah. So then when we had the meeting, when Omar was there, she goes, oh, well, Providence is also going to do it. And I was just like, and she goes, yeah, right, Providence? And I was like, yeah, I told you, She just exposed me out there. And I go, yeah, of course, of course I'm going to do it. And then after that, I really don't say anything about my life, just in general. But now that Omar is doing it and, I was exposed like that. So, yeah, I want to do it. I've been wanting to do it for a while. But it's been a journey just to get to this starting point.
That's how leaders are born. They just throw you in the fire and you got to figure it out.
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes you have no idea what you're doing. Yeah. Hey, if you want to call in and ask questions to these two hunger strikers to end pesticides around the Watsonville schools from elementary to high school, I believe, they're spraying pesticides, and it's really Driscoll's that's in charge of those fields for the most part. And so that's where the pressure is going with these hunger strikes. So let's talk about Driscoll's. So Driscoll's, they're considered like, hey, they're a big company that, that Miles Ryder, who's the owner, is a billionaire probably, and probably one of the wealthiest people in our community. And so let's see, Providence, I don't know if you know much about this, but since we just got you on the line, do you know much about the history of what has been requested of Driscoll's and then what they have responded with?
Yes, we've gone to speak to him twice.
Okay.
The first time I was one of the people that was there in the first meeting.
With Miles Ryder at Driscoll's?
With Miles Ryder, yeah. I was there with Dr. N and with Jovita Molina. She was the library at the Alianza school before. She retired already.
Okay.
So we were all three. We were there and we were talking to him, and he seemed like he was listening, but when it was his turn to say something, he was really just, how can I say it nicely? He just kind of blew us away. He, like, what we said was, he said, oh yeah, I'm already doing organic around the schools. I'm like, what schools? Which ones? So can you point it out in the map for me? And it's he says he's going organic because some of the fields that were not organic, he did convert into organic, but one field that's next to the McQuitty School, there's 3 fields next to McQuitty School, one after another. The first one did go organic, but the next 2 are still not organic. So what good is it that the one that's right next to the schools goes organic if the rest of the fields on the outside part of that are not organic? I mean, that's not going organic, and that's what he means by going organic when he says that he's going organic. That's not going organic. That's just trying to cover up, something, just patching something up that doesn't work.
I mean, how hard could this be? I mean, I think they also say, oh, it's not us, it's the farmers who are leasing these fields.
Yeah, they blame it on the growers. They blame it on the growers, and my family being one of the growers, it's funny that they say that because we have tried to go organic. And from my understanding, he says that there's a concern, right, regarding the practices of some of the growers associated with Driscoll's, and the challenges that they face in transitioning to organic farming. But when I tried going organic, I found that not all the brands adhere to the same standards, especially when it comes to supporting the growers. So it's important for me to support sustainable and ethical practices in agriculture. And I believe that organic farming can play a significant role in that. But however, the systematic issues within the supply chains that they make, it makes it really difficult for smaller growers to thrive under the standards. So I want to choose a better brand because they're not providing me, they're not being transparent, and I need to make a real impact. And it's critical that we advocate for transparency and accountability in the food industry.
Okay,
and
so hang on one second, just so that the listeners can catch up with you. So, I think you're saying that your family is in growing. Okay, go ahead.
With Driscoll's.
With Driscoll, so you're contracted with Driscoll. So then do they tell you whether to do organics or commercial or regular?
They control everything. They control where we grow. They control how many acres we grow. They control how we're going to grow. They control what pesticides we use. They control everything.
Wow.
And they monitor us. They monitor us. And they need to know exactly what brand, how much you bought, how much you sprayed, and how many acres. I mean, they go to the point where they go and take a piece, some of your soil from your fields, and they take it to the lab to test it to see if you sprayed the pesticides that they told you to spray.
Wow.
How crazy is that? That is just so crazy that these guys have so much control and how they tell growers to grow it, and you have to use these chemicals to grow and pesticides. That's a shame that they have so much control. How do we take the control back? Mm-hmm. If somebody wants to go organic, let them go organic. Why should we continue to spray and harm our community and harm our children? And it's just crazy. It angers me to hear that.
Well, and then what I've heard from Cora representatives is that Driscoll's reasoning for not changing from organic or from commercial or sprayed fields or whatever you want to call it, I think it's commercial, fields to organic is because the growers decide. But that's not what we're hearing right here, right now.
You're hearing it from somebody that's a grower that has experience, has been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, my family's been doing it for a very long time, more than 30 years.
Wow. Okay, so I just have to take a pause and say, hey, everybody out there in listener land, you are listening to KSQD, K-Squid, Many Voices, One Station at 89.5, 89.7, and 90.7 FM across the California Central Coast and the Monterey Bay. We are talking with Omar Dieguez, and also Ana Barrera, who's a teacher in Salinas. Omar just started a hunger strike. He's with Barros Unidos and the Brown Berets. And also we are talking with Providencia Alaniz, who just started her hunger strike, and you're hearing it here first on KSQD, to do 30 days of not eating food with Omar about trying to stop the pesticides. Something came to mind when I was listening to you talk, Providence, is I just watched the film Killers of the Flower Moon. Did you ever see that film by Scorsese? It won an Oscar, and it was about how this guy who lived in Osage Nation, I think it was in Oklahoma, I'm not sure exactly where, but all the Native Americans there got a lot of money from the oil fields. And so this one guy, like a white guy, moved in, and he started to make friends with everybody. And, become like their benefactor. And like, I'm building libraries and schools and all this stuff. And at the same time, he was actually like killing them off and having his relatives marry them and then killing off the Native Americans. Like every month someone would die, so that he could get that money.
That's crazy.
And so here's the thing that I'm thinking about, like, I can't say this is for sure not what I know Driscoll's isn't doing. I can't say what Driscoll's is thinking about anything, but I know that they'd give a lot of philanthropy, right? Mm-hmm. To say, hey, we care about the people of this county.
They're paying people to shut him up. That's what they're doing. Yeah. They're paying people to keep their mouth shut,
they pay everybody.
Yes.
They have everything set up so that nobody can ever go against them. You don't find lawyers around this entire Bay Area or even the Monterey Bay. You don't find any lawyer in this area of California that will go against them. Like, you're going to have to go to L.A. or you're going to have to go way up north because nobody around here will go against them.
And I wanted to say something.
It's a company town mentality, and it's in Salinas Valley. It's in Pajaro Valley. I mean, I've seen it, a lot of community organizing that happens in both areas, and how the ag industry just silences local community. And I'm from LA, and I'm always trying to bring in, lawyers from Oakland or from different issues that happen in our areas, lawyers from LA, but the amount of money that comes in to these area politicians is disgusting.
And you know what? I've experienced this paying off people, or this all the way to my spirituality, when I've presented and asked for prayers through some of the groups that I'm part of. There's been some of them that told me that I cannot talk about pesticides, that I cannot bring that to the places and spaces that I'm at, because there's people there that are growers, there's people there that are connected with Driscoll's, and it's like, hold on, you're supposed to be a spiritual place and open a door for all people seeking prayer. But yet when we talk about or mention Driscoll's, I didn't bring no political or anything, but just the moment that they seen anything to do with Driscoll's, they asked me not to come back anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, Driscoll has a grip on people, and even for people that are growers that work in the office, they become partners of theirs, and then they have this. It's really, there's a lot going on over there. There's a lot of things going on over there, and Driscoll's will retaliate, and so they do hear this. I don't care. I don't care if they retaliate. I'm willing to face consequences, but people are scared. The growers are scared. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to say anything because they will retaliate against us. And they have. So it's really difficult to all these growers. They're all, Mexican men, and, they're too tough to be weak or to look weak, and they don't want to, bow down to nobody or nothing, and they just don't want to get into problems either. They're people that are just at peace. They're comfortable where they're at. They don't want to deal with it. They just want to keep doing what they're doing. But it's like, why are you guys allowing them to do all this?
Yeah.
Why do you guys allow them to rip you off so much? Why do you guys allow them to do what they're doing? Because they're doing so much. This is just one of the things that's happening, but there's just so much more. I mean, and I'm not going to stay quiet anymore. Yeah. And I don't care whatever the consequences are. I know they're big and powerful, but somebody has to say it, and it's been said now. So there it is.
Thank you for speaking up.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Yeah,
we need the truth to be exposed, and this has been going on too long. Our community's been suffering. Our young people, our indigenous community, and enough is enough. We need to make change now.
Providencia, you said that you had a second meeting with Driscoll's and Miles Ryder, and did that get any progress going, or was there a change? Or
I wasn't at the second meeting. I was only at the first meeting. The second meeting, Adam was there, and another lady that was there. But no, I didn't go to the second one. It was just the first one that I attended.
Okay, gotcha. And Anna, you're in Salinas. What's the situation? Is that also mostly Driscoll's, or is it a bunch of other companies? I imagine it's big. It's bigger than, I think, the Watsonville ag area.
I'm a member of Safe Ag, Safe Schools.
Yeah.
And so been a part of that for like 11 years. And, for me, it's like if I were to organize, it would be to go and make accountable the Monterey County Ag Commissioner, who used to be your ag commissioner here in Santa Cruz County, and make him accountable for these pesticides being used across the fields from our campus, And
what's his name or her name?
We can
look it up.
Juan something.
We'll put it in our notes.
It's a Juan, but he used to be up in this area as well. And, when we used to meet with him with Safe Ag, Safe Schools, he was more accessible. He was able to coordinate schools that were going to do like the monitoring and notification system, pilot schools. You could negotiate with him. Once he went into Monterey County, it's like silence. It's like he's unapproachable. He doesn't communicate well anymore. And it's the control that the Monterey county ag has over him. You know, right now you have people doing a strike on Veranda in Salinas because not only did their wages get cut,
And that's an ag company, Veranda.
and their wages got cut, but they're also being sprayed while they're out there in the workplace.
While they're working. What?
And that's the responsibility of an ag commissioner that monitors and regulates what he's allowing to be sprayed. And he allows it to be sprayed. Why doesn't he monitor it?
I talk to people in my community all the time that work in the fields that talk about being sprayed, talk about how their skin's irritated, how they're having problems, how they have to throw their clothes away before they get home. They have to like dress out in front of the house and get rid of their clothes so they don't bring it into the house to contaminate their house. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
We need to make a change. But Anna, I would love for you if you could talk about the spray days, because I think it's important that the people know about the spray days, the website, how they could go on there and get notifications.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the work of Safe Ag, Safe Schools has been to get notified of the spraying, right? I mean, and then Cora's like, well, let's stop spraying altogether, but at least have some notification. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So online, the Department of Pesticide Regulation has a website. It's called Spray Days. And so if you go to Spray Days, you can register for up to 10 locations where you'll get email notifications, cell phone, texts to let you know what areas are going to get sprayed within 1/4 of a mile of your home or your school site. So I would encourage every teacher in California to register for that. Anyone who lives across the field, where you send your kids to school. Another thing is, like in 2017, we were able to accomplish we were demanding 1 mile buffer zones around every school 24/7. Buffer zones that are on our schools. The state only gave us 1/4 of a mile, and it's Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But you know what? Our campuses are open on Saturdays. They're open on weekends. You know, our kids are out there practicing. And, you know, now with the notification system, some schools, you know, are starting to opt and decide, you know what, we're going to shut down the school for Saturday because there's going to be a spray day. You know, this at least makes districts aware of what's happening. Like every superintendent in the state of California needs to be registered so that way they can protect their community members and not make schools accessible when those spray days are happening. But there's a lack of communication, and so now, because of that lack of communication within the school districts, now we're giving the public access. So register for spray days so that way you as a public member can now hold your schools accountable, your districts accountable, go to your school board meetings and pressure them. You know, years ago when I used to be a part of the Labor Council, I remember going to AFT and CFT and pushing for every school in California, every school in the United States to just buy organic. And that way we can also help fuel the organic movement for protecting our communities.
And I'm signed up with that application, with the app, Spray Days. And I punched into one of the schools, Ohlone, which is one of the schools that's been affected the most in our area. I'm not lying to you. In under a month, there has been over 50 applications of pesticides around those fields near that school. So
Wow.
You will be alarmed at how many times they spray pesticides. We're only going to do this if we all stand together. And I think that this is the moment for us to make a change. This is the moment where we're going to make a humongous change to what's going on with these pesticides. So please come out and support.
And how can people follow the strike? Are you going to be posting on your social media? How can they check in with you, how you're doing and how Providencia is doing?
So we will have an Instagram set up. You can look me up on Omar Dieguez on my Instagram.
Spell out that last name.
OMARDIEGUEZ. You can follow me there. But we will set something else up so people can follow.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
And
go
I'm
ahead.
under Muñeca Majestad. It's MUNECAMAGESTAD.
And that's on Instagram, you said, or?
On Instagram.
Okay,
Yes.
super cool. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Anna, thank you for coming all the way from Salinas. Omar, oh my gosh, you had a huge day. You were at the labor rallies and then you were at the sweat lodge and now you're here. Thank you so much for coming on Moment of Truth with Amy Chen Mills. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thanks. If you appreciated this program, join us every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. for our live broadcast, and then pick up our edited podcasts at Apple, Spotify, and at YouTube under the KSQD YouTube channel as the podcast Moment of Truth with Amy Chen Mills. It really helps boost our program if you like, rate, and share our show at your favorite site and write a review. Visit our Substack, Moment of Truth Dispatch, for more on everything we talk about here. Plus, thanks to our entire team, Nyako Nyasu, Mei-Ling Obinata, Todd Zimmerman, Joy Schindeldecker, Michael Levy, and Bacha Kagan. Theme song by Todd Zimmerman of Nativerse Studios, logo by Kathy Krizik, and thanks to the entire KSQD team on the California Central Coast. Shoot us an email at amy@ksqd.org with questions or comments, and remember, if we don't use our democracy, we lose our democracy. So let's get out there, folks.